It was a cold October night in the city of Karachi. The streets shimmered with rain, and the dim yellow lamps cast long, trembling shadows on the wet asphalt. Most of the city had gone to sleep, except for a few restless souls waiting for the last bus home. Among them stood Aslam, a 32-year-old office worker who had missed his usual ride. His shift had run late, again, and now he was stranded at a desolate bus stop near Clifton Bridge. He checked his phone, 12:43 a.m. No messages, no ride, just the hum of the wind and the occasional hiss of passing tires and puddles. Then, from the darkness beyond the streetlights, came the low, echoing growl of an engine. At first, Aslam thought it was a truck. But as it drew closer, the shape became clear. A bus, old and massive, painted in faded red and black, with its headlights flickering like dying candles. The number plate read, Bus 303. It screeched to a halt right in front of him. The doors creaked open with a metallic groan that sliced through the silence. No conductor called out, no passengers moved. Just a driver, an old man with sunken eyes, pale skin, and an expression that seemed carved out of wax. He tilted his head slightly, looking straight at Aslam. "You going to Sadar?" Aslam asked hesitantly. The driver nodded once. Relieved, Aslam stepped in, shaking off the rain from his coat. He scanned for a seat, but something felt off. The bus smelled faintly of burnt rubber and old iron. The lights inside flickered weakly, and the air felt heavy, like it hadn't been breathed in years. Only 4 other passengers sat scattered across the seats. None of them moved. None looked up. He took a seat near the middle. The doors hissed shut. The bus jerked forward. Outside, the rain grew heavier, the city's glow fading behind them. Aslam glanced at the passengers again. The man closest to him, a young student with a torn backpack, was staring blankly out the window. His skin looked grayish under the light. A woman 2 rows ahead had her head resting against the glass, her hair wet and tangled, her lips moving silently as if whispering prayers. The 2 at the back were harder to see, just shadows. Aslam cleared his throat and asked, "Excuse me, is this going to Sadar?" The student didn't respond. He leaned forward, tapping his shoulder gently. The boy turned his head, slowly, too slowly, and that's when Aslam's stomach dropped. The boy's eyes were pure white. No pupils, no life, just emptiness. Aslam flinched, pulling his hand back. The boy turned back to the window as if nothing had happened. "What the hell?" Aslam muttered under his breath. He tried to calm himself. Maybe it was just his imagination, or maybe the kid was blind. Yes, that had to be it. But then came the sound. A soft whisper. It came from the back of the bus. At first, it was faint, like the sound of wind through cracks. Then it grew clearer. "He shouldn't be here." Aslam froze. "He doesn't belong." He turned slowly, his eyes scanning the dim aisle. The 2 shadowy figures at the back sat motionless. The whisper came again, this time closer, almost in his ear. "Get off, before it's too late." He jumped up, his heart racing. "Who said that?" No one answered. The driver didn't even glance back. The bus rumbled on, deeper into the night. Aslam pressed his face to the foggy window. The streets outside were unrecognizable. The usual shops and billboards had vanished. Instead, the bus was gliding down a narrow, unpaved road lined with dead trees. The air outside was thick with mist, and strange shadows flickered between the branches. He stood and called out, "Driver, I think you took the wrong route." No answer. "Hey," I said. Before he could finish, the driver turned his head slightly. Just slightly. Enough for Aslam to see his eyes, hollow sockets filled with swirling darkness. The driver grinned, showing yellow, broken teeth, and then turned back to the road. Aslam stumbled back, gasping. He looked toward the door. It was sealed shut. No handles. No escape. His breathing quickened. He grabbed his phone and tried to call someone, anyone. No signal. The screen flickered before shutting off completely. The bus groaned as it took a sharp turn, tires screeching on wet gravel. The passengers began to hum, low, rhythmic, haunting. The boy, the woman, even the shadowy figures at the back, all of them swaying gently to an unseen melody. Aslam pressed his palms over his ears. "Stop it! Stop!" The humming grew louder. Then suddenly, silence. The bus slowed down and came to a halt. Outside, Aslam could barely see through the fog. Only a faint red glow shimmered ahead. The doors opened with a hiss. The woman stood up first and walked out without a word. The mist swallowed her instantly. Then the boy followed. One by one, the others left, disappearing into the glowing fog. Aslam hesitated. He peered outside. The air was dense, almost liquid, glowing faintly crimson. "Driver," he called out. "Where are we?" The driver didn't answer, so he stepped off. Immediately, his ears filled with whispers. Voices echoing from nowhere, calling his name, some gentle, others mocking. "Aslam, welcome back. You shouldn't have left." He stumbled backward. The fog began to shift, swirling around him. Shapes started forming, faces. Pale, broken faces with empty eyes and stretched smiles. He screamed and ran back to the bus, but it was gone. Just gone. The sound of its engine faded into the distance, swallowed by the mist. He was alone. He started walking. The ground beneath him was soft and muddy, the air thick with rot. After what felt like an hour, he saw it, an old, broken bus stop sign, half buried in dirt. Next to it stood a rusted pole with a faint inscription. Route 303, last stop, the Hollow Grounds. Aslam's pulse thundered in his ears. He turned to run and froze. The fog had cleared just enough to reveal what lay beyond the road. Rows of abandoned buses, hundreds of them, lined up like corpses. Their windows shattered, their frames covered in moss and rust. He stepped closer, trembling. Every bus had a number. 303, each one identical. And inside, through the dusty glass, he could see shapes. Passengers, sitting perfectly still. His breath caught as he recognized one of them. The woman who had stepped off the bus earlier. Her eyes were open wide, her skin gray and cracked like old clay. He staggered backward. Then he saw the driver, sitting in one of the buses, motionless, but smiling. A faint voice echoed through the air. "You took the wrong ride, Aslam. Now you'll drive the next one." He woke up sitting in the driver's seat of bus 303. Rain tapped gently on the windshield. The fog was gone. The city lights shimmered faintly in the distance. For a moment, he thought it was a dream. Then he looked in the mirror. His reflection stared back, eyes sunken, skin pale, expression blank. Outside, a man was waving at the bus stop, shivering under the streetlight. Without thinking, Aslam pulled the lever. The doors creaked open. The man stepped in. "Going to Sadar?" the passenger asked. Aslam turned his head slowly, forcing a grin, and nodded once. The doors closed. The bus rumbled into the night.